Cirrhosis of liver basically is a end stage liver disease wherein the normal liver cells, we call it as hepatic cells or hepatic parenchyma, is replaced by the scar tissue, in medical terms fibrosis. And also there is a liver cell necrosis or death of the liver cells called as hepatic necrosis. So the combination of two leads to loss of liver function, ultimately leading to liver failure. The causes are alcohol, as we all know. Second is viral infection like hepatitis B and hepatitis C. Third is non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, which is because of the obesity, diabetes. Uncommon causes, but they are to be listed, are drug-induced toxins, heavy metals, autoimmune liver diseases like autoimmune hepatitis leading to cirrhosis of liver. There can be genetic disorders or metabolic disorders which are common in the childhood. Wilson's disease because of copper overload and alpha-1 antitrypsis and so on. Apart from alcohol, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis is on rise because of lifestyle modifications, sedentary lifestyle leading to obesity and diabetes. Incidence is also rising and ultimately leading to more fat deposition in the liver, from fatty liver to hepatitis and from hepatitis to cirrhosis of liver. Few percentage of patients we may not be able to find the reason for development of the liver disease cirrhosis, and that is labeled as cryptogenic cirrhosis of liver. Many a times we must have seen the patients being labeled as cryptogenic cirrhosis of liver when we do not find any reason in spite of all the investigations including liver biopsy and other high-end investigation. We don't find the liver disease reason for development of liver disease, then we call it as cryptogenic liver disease. Once we know that there is a cirrhosis of liver, the next question is how do you diagnose it, how do you approach towards this case. So as we all know, the first investigation of choice is an ultrasound of abdomen and liver, wherein you may find signs of portal hypertension in the form of dilated portal vein more than 12 mm, or you may find collateral. You also may find liver enlargement or shrunken liver with caudate lobe hypertrophy, splenomegaly and free fluid abdomen, which we call it as ascites. These are common findings on an ultrasound whenever you suspect a patient of cirrhosis of liver. Apart from that, some patients we may find a small nodule or multiple nodules which can be commonly described as regenerative nodule as a part of liver scarring and fibrosis, but can as well be a silent liver cell carcinoma. We call it as liver cancer or SCC in the setting of cirrhosis of liver. So as mentioned, first investigation is an ultrasound abdomen, second is blood test which includes complete blood picture, liver function test to know the level of protein, total protein albumin, usually low in liver disease, cirrhosis of liver. Bilirubin may be elevated in patients who have decompensated liver disease. SGOT, SGPT, usually patients will have normal if they have an advanced cirrhosis of liver, but if they have an overlapping alcoholic hepatitis or cirrhosis along with that, then they may have elevated SGOT more than PT. As well, same finding in autoimmune hepatitis. The third investigation which we do commonly to establish the stiffness of liver, to determine how much is the fibrosis of liver happening, is liver elastography. This is a very, very important investigation. We also come to know by doing this test the scoring of stiffness, and based on the score we come to know that what stage of the liver disease the patient has come to us. So it many a times help in avoiding gold standard investigation liver biopsy by doing the liver elastography in many of the situation. Having said so, the fourth investigation which is reserved and to be used in few percentage of patient is liver biopsy. In liver biopsy, what we do, there are two methods. Basically, one we do percutaneously liver biopsy ultrasound guided, and the other way is that we can do either endoscopic ultrasound guided or a laparoscopy guided. Based on the coagulation parameters, based on the overall condition of the patient, we decide which method is better than other. Whatever it is, the liver biopsy still remains an important investigation for confirming the diagnosis. Other investigations which are done to diagnose the liver disease and its complications are basically to know the reasons for developing liver disease and to know the complications of liver disease, which includes hepatic wage pressure gradient estimation, that's an invasive test. We also do in some patients the endoscopy to know whether they are developing esophageal varices, whether they have developed the vessels inside the food pipe which can rupture and which can cause blood vomiting or black motions, which is very common. So an endoscopy is an important diagnostic tool to confirm the liver disease, cirrhosis of liver. Apart from that, we also do other investigation which are in the form of blood, like autoimmune profile, serum ceruloplasmin, alpha-1 antitrypsin. We do serum iron, ferritin, TIBC, other viral markers, hepatitis B, hepatitis C. Last but not the least, which is very important, that we need to know the liver parenchyma, liver structure. So it has been of late proved that CT scan, plain CT scan abdomen in a doubtful case is much superior to an ultrasound abdomen to know the surface of the liver. If it is an irregular surface with nodules or so, it can be better picked up on a CT scan rather than an ultrasound abdomen. And alpha fetoprotein, which is a very, very important investigation which can rise in patients who have HCC even if the ultrasound is normal or the lesion is less than 1 centimeter. The first foremost complication of liver disease or cirrhosis of liver is portal hypertension, and complications of portal hypertension are GI bleeding, which is gastrointestinal bleeding, which can present as blood vomiting or black motion or red color motion. Second important complication is hepatopulmonary syndrome or hepatic hydrothorax, which occurs in a patient of cirrhosis of liver because of accumulation of fluid in the abdomen, which is not regressing. It is a lot of fluid gets accumulated to the tune of liters in the chest as well as abdomen. When it gets accumulated in the chest, we call it as hepatic hydrothorax. Some patients develop hepatopulmonary syndrome, which is actually breathing difficulty in patients with cirrhosis of liver because of the oxygenation defect at the level of lung. Few percentage of patients develop a condition called as hepatorenal syndrome. That is basically because of failure of liver, kidney functions get deteriorated, and renal deterioration or kidney function deterioration is called as hepatorenal dysfunction. Few percentage, less than 1% of patients develop liver cancer. So these are all major complications of a patient who has cirrhosis of liver, and based on the condition at which the patient presents to a treating doctor, the doctor decides the line of treatment for this kind of patient, the line of investigation for this patient, and the further prognosis of the patient is based on the stage at which the patient is presenting to the doctor. Usually, most of the cirrhosis of liver patient, there are 3 types of cirrhosis staging we call: Child-Pugh classification A, child B, child C. Now, what is this all child all about? Basically, in non-medical terms, child A is early stage, child B is mid stage, child C is advanced stage. Now, how do they present? They usually present right from top to bottom. If you just enumerate them, like loss of hair, we call it as alopecia. Then there can be jaundice, yellowish discoloration of the eyes and urine. There can be loss of taste, there can be loss of libido, there can be gynecomastia, that is breast enlargement in male patient because of excessive estrogen hormone. There can be loss of pubic hair or axillary hair. There will be distension of abdomen in the form of fluid accumulation called as ascites. There will be liver enlargement, spleen enlargement. Few patients may have dilated vessels over the chest, we call it as spider nevi. Few patients may have a swelling over the feet as a presentation. They start with the swelling over the feet and then the swelling increases over the abdomen and face. We call it as edema feet. Few percentage of patients may present with Dupuytren's contracture. Some patients can present with the complications of cirrhosis of liver as liver coma or hepatic encephalopathy. What happens in a patient who has cirrhosis of liver? They usually have ammonia metabolism which is controlled by liver. But in patients who have cirrhosis of liver, this ammonia which is produced in the gastrointestinal tract, instead of going through the liver, it bypasses because of the portal hypertension and cirrhosis of liver directly to the brain, and leading to shutdown, brain shutdown, and then the patient lands up in a condition called as cirrhosis of liver with liver encephalopathy or hepatic encephalopathy. So the patient can present to you with altered sensorium, confusion, delirium, tremors, or in a stage of coma where the patient is not arousable. So it all depends on how the patient is brought to you. As I have told earlier, few percentage of patient can directly come with the blood omitting, with the low blood pressure, difficulty in breathing. Few patient may present with black stool, we call it as melena. And few percent of patient, if they have massive bleeding, they can come with red blood per anal canal. Some patients can present to you with kidney shutdown, we call it as hepatorenal syndrome, as I told you. Few patients present with breathlessness, we call it as hepatic hydrothorax or hepatopulmonary syndrome. So there is a varied presentation in patient with cirrhosis of liver. They can just be asymptomatic and get detected on a routine ultrasound when they are going for some preoperative surgical evaluation, or they are undergoing some mast-cell checkup. They will come to know that they have got a cirrhosis of liver, and then they are guided to the gastroenterologist and they investigate, and then the further treatment is continued. Whereas few percentage of patient may present with just plain cirrhosis of liver with symptoms, or few percent may present with cirrhosis of liver with one of its complication, one or more of its complication. As far as treatment is concerned, treatment of cirrhosis of liver is complex. Why I said complex? Because it all depends on the stage at which the patient is presenting to you. If the patient is presented to you at the early stage, child A we call it as early stage, then the treatment is based on the reasons for developing liver disease. We need to treat accordingly. So if alcohol is the liver disease and is presenting in early stage, we first control the abstinence of alcohol, because we want patient not to take alcohol. And apart from that, we have some medication which helps in reversing the further damage. Whatever is going to happen because of ongoing alcohol intake can reverse. So if you look at the other etiology like hepatitis B or hepatitis C causing early liver disease or cirrhosis, we can treat by giving antivirals which works against hepatitis B or C. Similarly, in autoimmune liver disease, we can give steroid azathioprine, the drug which works against autoimmune liver disease and further progress the liver disease. But the treatment doesn't depend only on the initial presentation, it also depends on the complication with which the patient comes to you. Identifying the subtle complication in a given cirrhosis of liver is very important part of treatment. Some patients may have early stage but suddenly they deteriorate because of one or other complication which sets in, like portal vein thrombosis, or a fluid which is accumulated in the abdomen gets infected, we call it as spontaneous bacterial peritonitis. So it all depends on what stage the patient comes, and we need to identify the complications of liver disease and treat them parallelly and identify them as well. Once you identify them and treat them, then there is a chance that many cirrhotic patients who come early or in a mid stage can be salvaged and can either delay or avoid further treatment, definitive treatment plan like liver transplantation. Having said so, I don't want to give a message that all patients of cirrhosis of liver can be treated without doing a liver transplant. No, there are few subsets of the patients where liver transplant is a gold standard directly at the outset. What are those? Those are refractory ascites, those who have hepatorenal syndrome, your hepatic encephalopathy, those who have hepatopulmonary or hepatic hydrothorax, those all group of patients, or those who have GI bleeding which is not responding to the medical treatment, like we do banding, esophageal endoscopic variceal bioligation or systemic therapy with medicine. Those all group of patients we can subject directly to the liver transplantation. Having said so, we need to evaluate the patient before we decide for the transplantation in this group of patients. Now, if you look at some subset of patients where these features are not there but they can land up in these problems, and if you identify this problem and treat medically, they may be benefited. My message to my patients of cirrhosis of liver as far as the diet is concerned is that they should consume less salt. They should have adequate protein. If they don't have a liver coma or liver encephalopathy, they can have a 1 gram per kg body weight as a protein intake per day. They should avoid inadvertent use of proton pump inhibitor, pantoside, omeprazole without doctor's advice. Also, they should avoid the more intake of basically oily food, because if there is a non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, because of high cholesterol and triglyceride, it will again increase. A strict and very diligent control of sugar is very, very important for patients who have diabetes along with the cirrhosis of liver. And also some patients, very few percent of patients who have a cardiac cirrhosis as a cause, where because of the heart problems, right-sided heart failure, you can develop the liver disease, we call it as cardiac cirrhosis. Those patients, they need to be treated with the medications pertaining to heart, so that the liver further damage will get arrested. Having said so, this is a vast topic. Cirrhosis itself is a big topic, and there are many things which we come across in our day-to-day practice. I feel that wanted to give you brief information about the cirrhosis of liver and its line of management, symptoms, diagnosis and investigation. Thank you.